The Lost Millennium was released on June 1st, 2005. This set introduced notable cards such as DD Survivor, Des Wombat, and the highly anticipated Brain Control. The release of The Lost Millennium marks the beginning of one of Yu-Gi-Oh's most played legacy formats, one of which many players revere as the best way to play Yu-Gi-Oh! GOAT format. In this series, both MBT and myself will be traversing the sands of Yu-Gi-Oh's history. Each episode will take a deep dive into Yu-Gi-Oh's past formats and unlock new strategies as new sets become available. Strap yourselves in because anything is possible. Welcome to the history of Yu-Gi-Oh!
I am fuming from last time. Fuming. Ra, grant me patience. I feel as if we should have won that best of 3, and not by a little, by a lot. I think we even had opportunities to take the set post Nobleman of Cross outing the Dekoichi, if we had just summoned our Dekoichi in defense positions, so the Mystic Tomato couldn't have traded with it. Oh boy. In any case, we are back in the shirt of shame on the back of double damage step limiter removal. Now this time we're actually playing GOAT format. Now as many of you pointed out last time, we weren't technically playing GOAT format. There was one set missing, the Lost Millennium, and there's a couple of really powerful cards in the Lost Millennium, including Brain Control, which enabled like Monarch strategies to be more popular. We're now here. This is the format, greatest of all time, known for Scapegoat Control, which is currently believed to be a tier 2 deck at best. There's a lot on this wheel, and there's a lot that I'm excited to play. I think that any deck that has significant game against absolute garbage is going to be able to take a best of 3 versus Alex. No offense to the individual, but I feel if we're given an opportunity to prove ourselves in an open game state, we'll come out on top. And if cards like Dimension Fusion are the deciders, well, I don't think I can guarantee that Alex isn't going to draw 3 Pot of Greed into exactly that. So what I want out of this is one of the control decks. GOAT Control, Soul Control, Recruiter Chaos even would be fine. Flip Control is something that I'm admittedly a little less practiced in than the rest of them. But really, what I'm looking for is Pac-Man. Now, Pac-Man is a terrible deck. It's not good, but it's so funny. Please, please, please let me play this deck. It is just so funny. Now, we've got a couple of spins banked, so I will burn them all trying to get what I want. No way. I mean, that's pretty close. Can I realistically burn a spin? Flip Control is kind of like Pac-Man. It's the better version, certainly. And notably, if I roll again, I might end up on something like Exodia. Yeah, I think I'm actually gonna take Flip Control.
Another episode of the history of Yu-Gi-Oh!, another episode of GOAT format, and most importantly, another episode not having to adorn the shirt of shame. Feels good to win another one, especially because we did it in sacktacular fashion. So we are continuing our exploration of GOAT format. Now, for all you purists out there, we are now technically officially in GOAT format now that the Lost Millennium is now legal. Let's be honest, it didn't change that much. We have a few new cards added, and yes, some other decks are now actually viable. What Joseph and I did was we actually replaced the decks we played in the previous episode with some new decks that are now viable. Pac-Man is a deck that Joseph has been fiending to play for several months now. Soul Control is the first true iteration of like Monarchs being played in full force. I really want to spin this just because I love old school Monarch. We also threw Emissary Aggro on here. This is a deck that actually takes advantage of Emissary of the Afterlife, not using it to search Exodia, so that's a relief. But let's go ahead and see what we can do here. We've got 3 potential spins to use. So let's hope for the best here and maybe get Soul Control, but we're gonna have to see how the wheel ends up. Oh, it was so close! It was so close! It was so close! Goat Control is a good deck. Goat Control is probably one of the strongest decks on this wheel. Joseph played Chaos Control in the last episode, which is very similar to Goat Control, just a few minor differences. So I actually think I'm going to elect to use a respin here because I don't really want to play a deck that was that similar. We have so much diversity on this wheel, so let's go ahead and spin again. Oh my god. Do we do it, ladies and gentlemen? Do we play the deck to summon Duel Monster's strongest monster, Exodia? Oh, it's probably bad. It's probably so bad, but part of me wants to redeem myself after that atrocious Butterfly Dagger Elma episode and summon Exodia legitimately, although I guess I technically did in Game 3. I think I'm gonna lock this one in.
So here's the list, and oh boy. Well, I'll just be honest with you. I think I might be too stupid to play this deck. Flip Control is a deck that, as its name suggests, uses flip monsters to control the outcome of the duel. Unfortunately, it's a deck that's very, very difficult to pilot. There's a lot of branching decision trees, a lot of which require you to make a pivot on a dime, and every game is kind of a matter of inches when your cards are much less powerful than the cards found in other decks. Huge haymakers like Return from the Different Dimension, Dimension Fusion, and the Chaos guys. I am not confident in my ability to play this deck, and while I did look up a couple of YouTube videos to see people doing replays of it, and they were very informative, there's no way that I can master it without spending hours trying to make this work. As is, I think we might be able to steal games using Time Seal and Mask of Darkness, which is pretty good on its own. A lock with that and Tsukiyomi is ideally enough to keep Alex out of the game, but we shall see, I suppose. So this is Person of Secret's top 4 deck list from FLC 7. So we know that we are using an individual who actually knows what they're doing's card choices. Let's just see if we can replicate their result. First, we're playing Azura Priest. This telegraphs that it's an old list. Azura Priest has largely fallen out of favor, but it is still a pretty decent answer to Scapegoat. We've got Blackluster Soldier, Envoy of the Beginning as well. I mean, he really do be winning games on his own, followed by Breaker the Magical Warrior, still limited and still extremely powerful. Next come the monsters we want in face-down defense position. Number 1 is Dekoichi. Dekoichi flips to draw a card, then can draw an additional card for every Bachoki you control. You will never control one, but flip draw a card is good enough. It's got a very nice stat line, and flipping it back with Tsukiyomi feels game-winning. We've got 2 copies of Legendary Jujitsu Master. This card exists so that your opponent stops attacking your face-down monsters. It is such a huge blowout if they walk into it that they may just not walk into any of your monsters, and then you can get repeated activations of stuff like Magical Merchant. This is, I believe, the worst of the flip monsters, and that's saying something because this card is crazy. It gets a spell or trap from your deck to your hand, milling some cards in the process. Usually we're going to want to be getting something like a Time Seal or one member of the Trinity. Next is 3 Magician of Faith. People don't understand this, but this card's actually a 3 for the entirety of this format. It's just over the course of one game, you would expect to see so much of your deck that you could guarantee you would find one regardless, and you really don't need too many of Magician of Faith. Opening her without a piece of the Trinity is not particularly good. 3 Mask of Darkness. This is the card that sets this deck aside from other ones. Recycling something like a Sakuretsu Armor to protect the mask until you can get a loop established with something like Time Seal is unbelievably strong, and keeping your opponent off of their draw phase is pretty good as well. Spirit Reaper is another punitive card for attacking into a defense position monster. It just sits there. And 3 Tsukiyomi. This card's effect, unfortunately, is mandatory, so she's not a very effective beater, but she is a fantastic way to get over your opponents with stuff like repeated Mask of Darkness activations. For spells, we're on Delinquent Duo, Graceful Charity, and Pot of Greed. Why are these all legal in this format? I could not tell you. Heavy Storm, Mystical Space Typhoon, Double Nobleman of Crossout. We care a little more about controlling the pace of the game than other decks, which is why we're playing 2, I'd imagine, and 1 Snatch Steel. For traps, we're on Mirror Force, Ring of Destruction, Torrential Tribute, not surprising there, and then double Sakuretsu Armor, triple Solemn Judgment. We're kind of a bit of a combo deck, so this makes sense. Triple Time Seal to keep our opponents out of the draw phase permanently, and 1 copy of Trap Dust Shoot. It's just a good card and decent to recycle. The side deck here is really good. We're on 2 copies of Death's Wombat in order to beat Burn. We're on 1 copy of Gravekeeper's Guard and 2 Gravekeeper's Spies if we need a more effective defensive wall. We're on double Mobius and triple Thestalos, so the idea is in games 2 and 3, you can board into like a Monarch strategy, de-incentivizing your opponent from attacking into your face-down monsters by boarding into things like Legendary Jujutsu Master outside of games 2 and 3, and then when they don't do so, you can like flip up a Magician of Faith, get back a Pot of Greed, and then Tribute the Faith for a Mobius. That is game winning. We're also on some cards to enable those monsters in games 2 and 3, Brain Control and Double Soul Exchange, and 2 copies of Dust Tornado as well. So, hoping for the best here, but this is a very hard deck to pilot. Wish me luck.
Ladies and gentlemen. If I was looking for the ultimate deck to piss Joseph off, I may have found it. This is Ben McCrae's, I don't even want to call this an Exodia deck necessarily, but this is just a deck that plays almost every alternate win condition in the format and just hopes to find one of them and basically can default to one if another one fails. This was so funny when I saw this. I was going to play a more streamlined Exodia deck to truly represent GOAT format. Fuck that. This is going to be hilarious, and this is what we are bringing to today's duel. So let's go ahead and do the card by card. 3 copies of Big Shield Gardna. This guy is actually just gigantic with 2600 defense. Paired with Skill Drain, this card will not switch to attack position if it's attacked. And what's also cool is that this card can also eat Nobleman of Crossout because it has an effect that reads, when a spell card is activated that targets this face down card, quick effect, change it to face up defense, and if you do, negate the activation. So it's a cool way to bait Nobleman. Nobleman's a very key card in this format, and basically sitting on Big Shield Gardna is a way that we're going to hold Joseph off. We have the Exodia pieces, of course. We have 2 Jowgen the Spiritualist for last turn that's also being played in this deck. Joseph might not have been able to pull off last turn, but we're definitely going to try our damnedest. We also have a Sangan to search any card we need. Sinister Serpent's great because it basically just fogs Joseph's first attack every turn. It always comes back to our hand. It's a fantastic card all around, and that is it for the monsters. For the spells, a single copy of Book of Moon. I guess it's flexible. I don't know why there's only 1 in here, but I guess for space, maybe that's why. Final Countdown is also in here as well. So this is like our 3rd win condition that if the other 2 fail, hopefully we can resolve this and win this way. Graceful Charity for draw power. 2 copies of Level Limit Area B. This is a card that is semi-limited and we really haven't discussed all that much. Change all face-up level 4 or higher monsters to defense position. If Joseph does not have a way to deal with this, we can just sit on this card for all of eternity, and good luck having those small monsters get through a Big Shield Gardna. We also have Monster Reincarnation to fetch back one of our Exodia pieces, or I guess Jowgen if we have last turn at the ready. We also have Pot of Greed, Premature Burial, Reinforcement of the Army to, funny enough, search Big Shield Gardna, 2 copies of Upstart Goblin, and our 4th win condition, Wave Motion Cannon. After 8 turns, if Joseph does not dispatch of this, we will win the game. Obviously, it could be a lot lower depending on if he's playing stuff like Solemn Judgment and the like. However, this is just hilarious. For the trap cards, 2 copies of Good Goblin Housekeeping, another semi-limited card. Draw cards equal to the number of Good Goblin Housekeeping cards in your graveyard plus 1, then select 1 card from your hand and return it to the bottom of the deck. Just more draw power. 2 copies of Gravity Bind. This is basically to complement the level limits for the same reason. 2 copies of Last Turn, a Mirror Force, a Ring of Destruction, 3 copies of Skill Drain. Skill Drain can actually hose a lot of the cards in this format and really bring the game to a screeching halt. It also brings our life points lower so that we can last turn, so that's also pretty cool, but I guess it's a little bit counterintuitive with Jowgen. I'm not sure how that's supposed to work, but I do not have the 500 IQ necessary to build a deck like this. We also have 3 Solemn Judgment. Again, another way to get our life points down for last turn and to stop any of our cards from getting destroyed. That's probably why this is in here. And 2 copies of Wall of Revealing Light to keep him at bay. Again, for the same reason as last turn, but it also does allow us to get to this threshold a lot quicker. The side deck, I actually just put in a bunch of cards for a more streamlined Exodia deck. If this strategy fails, which I don't know how this is going to go. I can bring in 3 Dark Mimic level 1. This is basically just another Dekoichi. When it's flipped, you get to draw a card. 3 Dekoichi, 3 Emissary of the Afterlife to search our Exodia pieces, 2 Noblemen if he's on control. We also have 2 Backup Soldier to get the pieces back, 1 Call of the Haunted, and 1 Torrential Tribute. So we could take out some of the alternate win conditions and play a bit more of a streamlined Exodia deck. That might be the play. We'll have to see what happens. This is just hilarious. If this deck actually manages to take a game and at the very most the match, I think I'm gonna have to find a new co-host because Joseph is probably gonna quit. But we're not gonna make you guys wait any longer. Let's give this abomination a test drive. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to duel. Joseph, I can't even hold in my excitement for this. This is some bullshit you would play. That is all I can say. It is at that caliber of degenerate. I don't know what you spun. Well, first of all, okay, how many respins did you have to do, if any?
0.
Oh, you first picked it. Interesting.
I first picked it,
okay,
yeah.
I actually respun my first one because I think I spun goat control initially. And
you didn't want to play goat control.
I didn't want to play goat control because you played chaos control in the last episode. So I figured the decks are like very identical, and I wanted to play something a little bit different since we have so many decks to choose from. I wasn't expecting this, I'll be honest. But
do you know how happy I was being like, oh, thank God, we're finally moving out of the garbage sacky formats and into the skill-based ones. Goats! Oh, this will be a great time. I can show off just how interesting Yu-Gi-Oh! Was in the past. So far, we've played a Dimension Fusion, or a Reasoning Gate Mirror, a Dimension Fusion Turbo game, and whatever you've got built today.
It's worse than all of them.
It can't be! It can't be!
Okay,
if you
well,
double limiter removal me again, it's over for you, buddy.
Let's find out while we shout out our patron. It's Rudy Trujillo. Thank you for the support. While I
Rudy,
can't
I'm all in on you. Rudy, you better not let me down.
Well, you won the die roll, so that's a good sign. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck to you too, jerk. Oh, this is a strange one. Okay, I am going to set 5 paths.
Well, this is the least exciting of like all my potential openings. I'll draw anything on standby.
Let's see how exciting it is.
Well, this is gonna give it away, unfortunately. I was really hoping it would go longer before that would happen, but here you go, buddy. The best part is, it gets worse, but you don't know why.
How could it get worse than this, Alex? I want you to explain to me how it could get worse than this. You've already got 2 pieces. You are off to the goddamn races. Oh my god. Oh, you know that Delinquent Duo is in this format, right? You know, what if I had just been playing hand control? You'd be dead.
I'm aware. I'm very aware.
Well, you know, as dumb as it is, I think I actually have to take big fucking Shield Gardna. I don't think I have a really good out to big Shield Gardna. Oh my god. Okay.
All right, I'll shuffle away. I think I figured out the issue with the shuffling, by the way, is that while you're still looking at my hand, I can't shuffle. So I can click the button. So I think that's been the issue after all these episodes of the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! And the progression series, why I've had shuffling problems. Okay, main 1 fine?
Oh yeah, main 1's fine, dude. I enjoy your turn.
Yeah, it's gonna be quite a boring one. I think I'm just gonna set 3 cards face down and pass it over to you, duo me.
You're setting the reincarnation. You know that I know you have the reincarnation, and you're setting the reincarnation. You said, if I have Heavy Storm, I just win the game here. All right, okay, I don't care. I don't care. None of this matters. All right, we're gonna flip summon Dekoichi, the battle-chanted locomotive.
That's fine. Get your draw.
I will. I'm gonna normal summon Tsukiyomi.
Okay, this is very bad.
We're gonna set Dekoichi, the battle-chanted locomotive.
Sure.
I'm gonna set 1 card, and I'd like to see you draw another piece of Exodia without a
not.
draw phase.
Oh, time seal. Big player over here.
All right, okay, I'll go to the end phase and trigger the effect of Tsukiyomi to return her to hand.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Well, I can't draw, so gonna be passing on that. Yeah, this card's perfectly fine to come back, says everyone.
You are... Alex. This is not fair. You don't get to show up with Big Shield Gardna Exodia and then go, oh my god, you're winning against me? We gotta ban this card.
Gross.
Okay, so I'm gonna flip summon Dekoichi again.
Well, like, I'm tempted to just, like, judgment this, but...
I bet.
Like, it's tempting solely because I don't want you drawing all these cards, but I'll just let it go. It's fine.
I'm gonna normal summon Tsukiyomi again.
When is this gonna end?
When the game's over, buddy.
When the game's over, yeah, when the game's over. Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. I'm gonna set one card, and let's time seal again.
Oh, wonderful. Time sealing the Exodia deck. Classic.
Well, what, are you gonna draw more pieces?
Yeah, I would love to, but unfortunately, I lose my draw phase. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. I'm gonna flip summon to Koichi. Is that okay?
This is such a shocking line of play you're taking. Yeah, that's fine.
All right, I will draw. Interesting. Very interesting. I feel like I gotta get the screws on eventually. Let's go to combat. Wacha.
You have 3 back row. I guess I'll try to mirror force this. I know it's not going to resolve. Oh, wow, it resolved.
I don't give a shit about mirror force. Second main, I am going to set one card and pass turn.
It's because you drew the second Dekoichi, obviously.
Exactly. Go. Okay. Okay. I'm going to activate Mystical Space Typhoon, targeting this card.
It was the monster reincarnation.
Of course it was. I'll draw for turn.
Sure.
Let's go for a Graceful Charity off the top.
Sure.
Oh. Oh my. Okay. I think that Snatch Steal is probably pretty goddamn dead in this matchup.
You could have stolen the Big Shield Guard now. What are you talking about?
Yeah, apparently. We're gonna send Mask of Darkness as well.
Okay. So I have this hunch you're on like a sort of like flip control deck, I guess.
I would say that hunch is correct. I'm gonna normal summon a Breaker. Is that okay?
All right. So this is weird. Obviously, you know I have Judgment. Like this isn't anything new. Part of me wants to negate the summon of the Breaker. Excuse me, because if I don't, I feel like it's gonna get bad. I will actually just let it go.
All right, I'm gonna break that set card.
Okay, so there goes the Judgment.
And now things are gonna get bad. I'm gonna flip summon Mask of Darkness, adding back Time Seal.
Sure.
All right, we're gonna set 2. Proceed to battle. We'll do 25 here.
That's correct.
And pass turn back to you.
All right, I'll draw. At least I got one. Oh, boy. I will just set a card and pass. Go ahead. Now I'm going to get time sealed to death.
I'm planning on it. We're going to go ahead and fire out that time seal, then start our turn.
Sure.
Stand by main. I'm going to normal Tsukiyomi, targeting the Mask of Darkness.
Oh, yeah. This is going to get very bad.
And then I'll flip summon the Mask of Darkness, targeting the time seal.
Sure.
And then I'll go to combat.
Well, fortunately, I have a gravity bind.
Yeah, that would be cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be cool. Okay, so I'm going to take a total of 3,600 here.
I'm going to set 1 in main phase 2, and then proceed to end phase, add the Tsukiyomi back to my hand.
Okay.
And best of luck, duelist. Those 3 cards in your hand better be pretty good.
Yeah, they're okay. Oh, my God.
Whoa. Buddy! Did you forget something?
I did, but, like, I was dead anyway. I'm so fucking mad. I am so fucking mad. What are the chances of this?
Oh my god. Even though I am playing the Time Seal Loop deck, you are 1 piece away from the end of the game. Unbelievable.
Joseph, if this top card is the final piece of Exodia, I'm quitting.
Let's see it.
Okay.
Oh, thank God.
Joseph, I said at the end of my deck building, if I actually managed to win with this deck, I think I'm just going to need to find a new co-host because I think you would have just quit immediately. You haven't even seen the worst part of this deck yet. Exodia is like the least of your problems. I can't even begin.
How can that be? You were 1 piece off of winning last game. 2 if you remember how Time Seal works. How can Exodia be the least of... What else could be in this deck that Exodia is the least of my problems?
I'll go first, and maybe you'll get to see what is the least of your problems, and it doesn't look like that might be the case. All right, good luck.
Good luck to you, too.
We'll see what happens. I will start by setting a card, and I think I'm going to set myself 1 measly back row, and we'll pass the turn.
That's interesting. I didn't see anything worth setting outside of Big Shield Guard the last time, so I'm going to put you on that, but I don't know how realistic that is. We're going to start with a charity.
Sure.
So a lot of people know GOAT format because of the interesting back and forth gameplay that it enabled, but a lot of people forget that GOAT format also included this. The trinity of cards, Graceful Charity, Pot of Greed, and Delinquent Duo that just absolutely wreck any sense of meaningful interaction. Oh, this is tough. I am going to send Dekoichi and Spirit Reaper.
Sure.
I'm going to set 3, and you are good to go.
All right, I'll draw. Anything?
Yeah, we're gonna dust shoot.
Oh, you gonna have a nice target here. Would you like to send back the left arm of the forbidden one?
Alex! You have got to be shitting me. It's Wall of Revealing Light last turn in this deck. Wow. Why would you not set these? Because you don't have the Jowgen yet. Oh my god.
I also might not just want to lose immediately to Heavy Storm. There could also be that.
I mean, I suppose I'm taking the fucking left arm. What is this hand? Oh, God. What on earth did you find? What did you roll? You could have rolled anything.
That's the best part. Now you don't even know what I rolled.
Oh, my God.
All right. Now, I need to think what I want to do here. You committed some cards to the field now, so, I mean, if you want to Heavy Storm me, I think I'm probably okay with it. I think I'll just set a couple cards, and let's just pass it over.
I am furiously Googling the last turn ruling document right now. Oh my gosh. All right, I'm gonna draw for turn.
That's fine.
Ring. I'm gonna flip summon Mask of Darkness and activate the effect targeting Trap Dust Shoot.
I think I'm gonna fire off Skill Drain in response.
Alex, how are you winning the game? I have gone from... I have gone from upset to perplexed about 16 times this episode. How are you winning the game? You can't... If you fire last turn with Skill Drain up, I can summon from my deck! Oh my god. Oh. Okay, I am crying. Okay, so one of the set cards could be Wall. One of the set cards could be Last Turn. The set card's gotta be something crazy, right? I'm gonna set one.
Okay.
I'm going to tribute summon Thestalos.
Sure.
And then I'll proceed to the battle phase.
All right. Well, unfortunately for you, it is my big shield guard.
As expected. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, but he's not gonna switch to attack position.
That is correct.
I was really hoping I was wrong here. All right, well, go ahead, buddy.
All right, I'll draw. Oh, right on time.
Yeah.
So Joseph. Just when you thought things couldn't get much worse, right? How much worse do you think that things could possibly get in this?
You're asking me how much worse I think it could get than Skill Drain, Wall of Revealing Light, Last Turn Exodia? Gee, buddy, I don't know. I can't imagine it getting worse than that.
Okay. All right, just curious. I gotta think here. Well, you didn't time seal me, which I guess is a relief. I think what else your back row could potentially be. I kind of don't want you having this Thestalos, so I'm gonna attempt to ring Thestalos.
That's fine. We can both take the 24.
Okay, sure. Down he goes, and let's activate Final Countdown!
I am going to attack you.
Show me the Solemn Judgment, Joseph.
No, I don't have Solemn Judgment. And if I had Solemn Judgment, do you think I would burn it on fucking Final Countdown?
Okay, that's fine then. I suppose then in that case, I think I will... What am I really afraid of at this point? Not much. I'll pass. Go ahead. Turn 1 on countdown.
Yeah, I guess it is. Wow. Okay, so the set card's gotta be Wall, right? It just has to be Wall. Be Wall, you can pay out to... No real reason for me to do anything. I'm gonna time seal you here.
Okay.
And then I will pass the turn.
All right, turn 2 on countdown. I will not draw. We'll go to main 1. I will just set a card face down, and I will pass the turn. Turn 3 on countdown.
God. Well, I'll pass.
Okay, turn 4 on countdown. I will draw. I'm making Jeff Leonard so proud right now. Let's see. I will just pass the turn. Turn 5 on countdown.
Oh, thank God. Okay, I'm gonna duo here.
Okay, so you did hit the last turn out of my hand.
Why did you set the fucking last turn?
And you hit the Decoichi as well.
I'm going to kill you. Oh, you are going to die. Oh my God. All right. I'm gonna Ring of Destruction targeting Gardna.
No, not my Gardna. That's fine. So we'll each take 100 from this.
Oh yeah, buddy. This is gonna go well. We're gonna normal a Tsukiyomi.
Okay.
Try to go to combat here.
This is tricky.
Right. Ideally, if you wall, you'd have to wall for 2, which is, like, pretty bad.
Yeah. And that also kind of just loses me the game if you have judgment as well.
Right.
If I don't wall here, then I would need to specifically have something to out the Tsukiyomi. It's me down to 14. Not loving it. Not loving it. I'm going to take it.
Sure. I'll pass turn.
Okay, that is turn 6 on countdown. I'll draw.
I can't believe you are still counting for countdown.
I'm going to fire off this premature burial that I had set.
Yeah.
Target the Dekoichi.
That's fine.
I'm
thinking here.
Okay.
God, that's gross. Yeah, that's fine.
Premature burial stays active. Let's actually keep that here. I think I will just set a card and I will pass. Turn 7 on countdown.
Go to main 1. Well, I mean, gotta have it. I'm gonna normal breaker.
I have something. I have a judgment for the breaker.
Sure, that's fine.
I mean, it buys me a turn.
Go ahead.
Turn 8 on countdown. We're going to be cutting it close. Oh, that's not bad.
Just a little bit.
Let's activate reinforcement of the army.
Yeah, sounds good.
Good. I'm going to grab myself a big shield Gardna.
Oh my god, it's level 4. Oh, God.
I will go to the battle phase.
Yup.
I'm going to attempt to hit into Sook.
Now you don't have to play around sack anymore. That's fine.
Okay. Main 2, I'm going to set, and over to you. Turn 9 on countdown.
I'm going to set 1 and pass.
All right, turn 10 on countdown. Halfway there, Joseph.
Literally halfway there. I can't believe this.
I will switch to Koichi to defense, and I will pass the turn. Turn 11 on countdown.
Draw for turn. I will flip summon Tsukiyomi.
Okay.
I will Torrential Tribute.
Ooh, that's pretty good. I was worried about Torrential as well, which is why I was a little bit hesitant.
Please, God, let this connect.
He has the Dekoichi as well. Yeah, that's going to do it. You knew this was wall, so you knew I didn't have anything else.
Yeah, it turns out wall's not fantastic in a deck where you're already paying 10,000 life points. See, what were you playing?
Yeah. Okay, so I did spin Exodia. So initially I thought to myself, okay, after the atrocious Butterfly Dagger Elma episode, I need to redeem myself. So I saw the list online.
And you thought this was how you were going to redeem yourself.
Yeah,
it's a
100%.
deck that plays everything.
100%. So initially, if you look up the deck list, it's a list that plays like 3 Dekoichi, 3 Dark Mimic, 3 Emissary, all the draw power. Boring, 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 boring. However, when you scroll down and click on one of the links to a metagame.com article, there is a lovely 500 IQ intelligence man who came up with a deck that just plays every secondary win condition in the format except for Destiny board in one single deck. And they did a featured article about it. And so I thought, this is way more entertaining and is going to piss you off way more if I somehow manage to win a game with this. So I thought we were going to roll with this instead. So it plays Exodia, it plays Last Turn, it plays Final Countdown, it also plays Wave Motion Cannon as a 4th win condition as well.
Great. Yeah, I will say you didn't win a single game, but mission accomplished, buddy. Honestly, I feel as if I've lost anyway.
I honestly will take the Shirt of Shame in the next episode just to have the opportunity to pilot something like this. This was a disaster. I'm just going to go ahead and mill this deck out for you just so you can see how disgusting this was. What
is the point of Last Turn? What's the there's the Jaugen. Okay,
yep.
It was on Jaugen.
The Jaugen was there, yes. So it basically is just trying to figure out what win condition is going to win you the game at any particular moment. My thinking in the second game specifically was your deck gets pretty hosed by skill drain because they're all flip effects. So yes, I do lose my Jaugen win condition essentially if I flip it up the skill drain because I don't even think this deck plays a way to out its own skill drain. But in saying that, at the same time, if I found one of the other win conditions, which I happen to find Final Countdown on the following turn, then if I could slow the game down to a snail's pace, then conceivably I could have managed to win. I was very scared that your torrential tribute was a solemn judgment and I would lose the game on the spot. So I tried to play around it. Had that wall actually gone off, maybe we'd actually still be playing potentially, because I don't think you could have actually gotten over the wall. But
I did draw a dust for turn, but that's several turns later.
Right. So I would have still had to solemn judgment the breaker. Oh no, I wouldn't have actually, because skill drain, as a matter of fact, would be able to take care of it. I had to solemn judgment the breaker because it would be able to hit over the Dekoichi and I would have lost. So potentially, had the wall resolved and I didn't die, I would have been able to solemn judgment potentially the dust tornado, and we could have maybe made it to final countdown. Obviously, that's complete 2020 hindsight, so there's no way I could have predicted that would have been the case. That was the thinking. Obviously, it just was a complete wash and didn't come to fruition in the slightest. I'm shocked that final countdown made it to turn 11. I am. That's all I'm gonna say. And the fact that I drew 4 Exodia pieces in the first game.
Like,
who knew?
The people in the comments, they need to know what I'm up against, right? So game 1, I established the time seal lock, and this motherfucker draws 4 Exodia pieces.
3
game
legally.
2,
I drew the 4th illegally, I will establish.
Right. Game 2, they open last turn wall. Just nat open it. Oh my, this is what playing against Cimoooooooo is like. It's like you could have everything in the world, they can be on the worst deck possible, and you can bet that there's a win condition in there somewhere. My God.
So go ahead and tell us about your deck. I'm looking at it right now for everyone to see. Obviously, they saw it in the deck building, but just so you can, run me through. You obviously first picked this, so you were pretty happy about this. I was thinking you were going to waste all your spins on Pac-Man, but clearly that wasn't the case. What was the logic here?
Well, I did want to waste all my spins on Pac-Man, but I got flip control and I was like, well, flip control is basically Pac-Man. It's like the good version. That's not true at all, of course, because Pac-Man plays completely differently. You've got Floodgates and Deslakuta, but flip control does flip monsters, so that's similar. It's kind of how like water and vodka are the same in the same way that Pac-Man and flip control are the same tech. The idea is you want to use Tsukiyomi, which hilariously is at 3. You don't see people playing 3 because it's actually not very good unless it's outing specifically Thousand Eyes Restrict or resetting your own. So if you play 3 copies and get repeatable advantage off of Dekoichi, off of Magical Merchant, off of Magician of Faith, or your preferred win condition, looping Mask of Darkness and Time Seal to cut your opponent off of the draw phase. I'm using Person of Secrets top 4 deck from FLC 7, which I really like because it has a transformative sideboard into Monarch. Game 1, you're playing like Legendary Jujitsu Master and Spirit Reaper, so the onus is never really on your opponent to attack into your set monsters. It's never going to be that profitable because there's always the chance that you'll get blown out by either a sack or a Mirror Force or a Jujitsu Master. So game 2, you just sit on a monster in defense position. They don't attack because they're a little bit scared of it, and you can flip it up, draw a card if it's a Dekoichi, and then tribute for like a Mobius. It's kind of cute. I really like the idea. Has a lot fewer applications versus what you're playing, of course, but I was happy I did get to board out of like Jujitsu Masters and stuff that would never trigger to go into a Thestalos, which could have done something conceivably.
Yeah, this is like a real deck too, right? I mean, yeah. I guess you could call my collection of 40 cards a deck, but I think that's stretching the term as loosely as you possibly could. I'm shocked that there was like a featured article about this deck, and again, I just wanted to. I love the interaction with Skill Drain and Big Shield Gardna too, because it's actually kind of comical how like nothing in the game can really take care of that unless you have actual spell removal or like trap removal to kill it, like Ring of Destruction. That's kind of fun.
I outed it with what? Exactly Ring and Torrential. That's pretty much all that gets rid of it.
Yeah, and just looking at your deck, Nobleman doesn't deal with it because Big Shield Gardna can actually handle that card, funny enough. And I'm looking at the rest of your deck, and BLS can technically out it if you summon BLS, and I think that's it. I don't think you actually have any other outs to Big Shield Gardna in the rest of your deck. So, wow. that's Big Shield Gardna is also this card that came to be, I believe it was either Dark Beginning 1 or Dark Revelation 1, and really no one ever did anything with it because, yes, it has a colossal ass of 2600. It always switches to attack, and there's really like no genuine reason to use it over anything else in the game. But paired with Skill Drain, which shits on 70% of the format, then that starts to change the dynamic a little bit. So, yeah, Skill Drain's fun. It's supposed to just slow the format down to the point where it's a snail's pace, and then you hopefully just get one of your 5 win conditions, and hopefully don't lose. That's all it comes down to.
Yep, apparently. I will say one thing I really like about GOAT format and why I'm so jazzed to be playing it is that it's one of those formats that clearly was deeper than it looked on the surface. Like, if you go back and look at Worlds lists, you're really only going to see about 3 or 4 different things represented. You know, like, there's GOAT control decks, there are Chaos control decks, there are Recruiter decks, but mostly it revolves around the thesis that Scapegoat and Metamorphosis are so far beyond what anything else is allowed to do. But what I love about GOAT format is that it's got such a huge fan base of people dedicated to breaking this historic format. So obviously you could see that in the wheel, but the article that you found written about how this alt-win turbo deck occasionally could take down games versus established meta contenders, you know, looking at the format library, we've got flip control, but it's pretty far down the list of playables. You could be playing Economics FTK, you could be playing one of 4 different burn decks. There's Benkai OTK, Rescue Cat OTK, Tiger Stun, Skill Drain Beatdown, which is a different deck than Beast Down or Tiger Stun. I mean, there is just so much going on here from people who are still tinkering with this format decades later, and it's just, it is such an amazing, interesting piece of history that I feel like you don't get in really any other card game. I struggle to think of anything else that's had such an enduring legacy. Maybe Old School in Magic, but that's just, it's just such a different scale of player base.
Yeah, and I mean, even last episode exemplifies that as well, right? The list that I found for Dimension Fusion Turbo, that limiter removal Dekoichi interaction, that wasn't really discovered until more modern iterations of GOAT format where people were trying to break the format existed, and that's not really something that was typically played back then, but then people realize that that's crazy, and then all of a sudden that becomes like the best version of the deck. So it's cool to see how there's such a dedicated fan base that really wants to keep playing the game, preserve it. Also, Gentleman's agrees out of playing like Library FTK, which is arguably like the best deck of the format, and then also trying to break the format simultaneously. I agree with you. I feel like it's such a devoted community, and you really just don't see anything like it, not just in Yu-Gi-Oh, but in other card games in general.
Yeah, no, I can't believe that they're still hosting events. I can't believe that they haven't figured out the metagame. You know, it's named GOAT not only because it's the greatest of all time, but because GOAT Control was historically the best deck, and recent developments during COVID, when the player base just exploded, have led people to sort of understand that GOAT Control is kind of tier 2, that there are better decks than this historically powerful format-defining monstrosity. It's just, it's insane! I can't believe how much effort has been put into this, and it is so hard to encapsulate it in a week or even a month. We could play GOAT format for a year, and we wouldn't scratch the surface of the depth of interaction you can find playing this.
And that poses the next big question, Joseph. So chronologically speaking, Cybernetic Revolution is supposed to be next on the list. So we have a bit of a dilemma. Do we want to keep exploring GOAT format for another episode or two? Maybe show off some other kooky decks, or maybe actually play a legitimate game for once? I mean, I guess last episode was a legitimate game. I think so anyway.
Or you think so? Yeah.
Or do we actually move forward to the era and the single card that was responsible for breaking GOAT format that a lot of people attribute to being like the end of original Yu-Gi-Oh? I think there's an argument to go both ways. Obviously, we've been doing things chronologically, but I think people might want to see more of this interesting format. I'm curious to know what you think.
I'd be interested to hear what people want as well. Realistically, I would have no problem if we rebranded to the History of GOAT format and just played this shit all day. But obviously, that would rob us of some of the really degenerate stuff that was legal during GX era. GOAT format, of course, was the last time that like this strategy of deck really proliferated. As soon as Cybernetic Revolution comes out, and arguably as soon as Exarion Universe is released, you start seeing a deviation. You start seeing the inclusion of really powerful cards like Cyber Dragon that not only change the metagame because they're so powerful, but also change the way that Yu-Gi-Oh cards are printed. You know, before Cyber Dragon, special summoning a monster was special. It happened infrequently. Something like Dimensional Fusion that would let you summon 2 or 3 monsters in one turn was unthinkably powerful. And Cyber Dragon represented just such a tonal shift for card design to the point where you can almost draw a straight line between inherent specials stemming from that card and the way we play the game today. It is one of, if not the most radical transformation in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! That ever existed. Of course, I would like to play a couple more episodes of GOAT if the people want to see it, but I'm also really excited to show what happens when that becomes commonplace.
Yeah, power creep is just the embodiment when it comes to Cyber Dragon, right? I mean, it's Cyber Dragon just in and of itself. I mean, it was a game warping card. And I know by like modern Yu-Gi-Oh standards, we don't use that term very loosely. Like we're talking about Dragoon of Red Eyes good when it comes to game warping.
Oh,
Cyber Dragon.
It was more impactful than Firewall Dragon.
Yeah, it was that just unequivocally, it was just that game warping. So I think what we should do is maybe because I'm up a game in GOAT format, you're up a game in GOAT format, maybe we settle the best of 3 of GOAT format with one final GOAT format episode before moving on to the Cyber Dragon one. We'll see. Let's see what the comments have to say. But I think that might be a good way to end on the GOAT format.
Yeah,
GOAT
I would love to do that. And whoever plays the most degen nonsense will win, of course.
Of course. So guys, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the History of Yu-Gi-Oh! Looks like I am going to be adorning the shirt of shame next time, but let's be honest, it was completely deserved. We're going to go ahead and shout out our patrons, though, as always. So big shouts to Shadow1317, Sean Alling Jr., Tim00x3, Pony Stark, Neo Cypher Slacker, Joshua Wiley, and Gayoko, Michael Dente, Ole, Shotagonist, Rasmus, Ika Ironfang, Mystic Walk, Part 2, Dan the Man Hoban, Sylvia Wilds, Synchro Guy, Brian Dancer, GW, Jarvis Martin, Logan Thomas, Dragon Lord, Dollywop, Peter Gregory, Thomas Nelson, Emil Cohen, Daniel Baker, Draconic, Jordan Coons, Iron Bladesman, Pure Ace, Inyo Nashito, Jesse Wood, Icky Lights, True Nerdgasm, Brother Paul, Benjamin Fuller, Yu-Gi-Oh! Hot Pack, Nehru Celeste, Chris Hood, Lumpy, Shane Reese, Rocklee325, and JM Church. Thank you all so much for watching the video, and we will see you next time.